call the City Council meeting for the City of Wyoming, Minnesota, December 1st, 2020 to order. Let the record reflect, we do have a quorum. Members Zerwas, Yeager, Schilling, Luker, and Mayor Iverson are present. I am going to ask that we mute while City Council member and veteran Joe Zerwas leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And I am going to read our usual pandemic script. So good evening. We greatly appreciate our staff, council, and residents adapting to our teleconference format due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight's meeting will be held under Minnesota State Statute 13D.021 that permits a public body to hold a meeting via telephone or other electronic means due to the COVID-19 pandemic. For members of the public, the meeting is being live streamed on the City of Wyoming YouTube page. The Wyoming City Council meeting will be recorded as part of the public record. After each agenda item is read and staff gives a report on that agenda item, I will call upon each council member individually if they have questions on that particular item. If you wish to make a motion or second a motion, please state your name first. All votes on all items will be completed by a roll call to meet the state standards for the state statute 13D.021. All right, thank you very much. And we'll start with open forum. Mr. Linwood, has there been anybody who would like to address for open forum?
We don't have anyone for open forum tonight, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to approval of minutes. Number 1, consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for November 17th, 2020. If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved, Member Luker.
Member Luker makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Schilling will second.
Member Schilling makes the second. Roll call, please. Member Zerwas.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Luker.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. We'll move on to the scheduled public hearing for the Truth in Taxation hearing, tax levy 2020 payable in 2021. I do need a motion to go into a public hearing.
Member Schilling, so
Member
moved.
Zerwas.
All right, Member Schilling makes the first, and Member Zerwas, do you make that second?
Yes, yes I do.
Perfect. We are now, we will go roll call vote for that, please. Member Zerwas.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Luker.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is aye. So we are now in public hearing. And Mr. Linwood, we did have one person.
That is
which
correct.
I had to read. Okay. So I will read an email from our resident, Larry Rabel. Address is 6210 Wyoming Trail. His message is as followed. His parcel, he has a 17% increase on the valuation. The PIN on that property is 21.00065.20. On his other parcel, he had a 7% increase in valuation. That PIN is 21.10339.25. He can't justify what kind of increase in the valuation in taxes. So Mr. Linwood, what would we like to say to Mr. Rabel's comment?
In regards to the valuation, that is something that the city doesn't control. Assistant City Administrator Dumas did speak with Mr. Rabel and did refer him to the Chisago County Assessor's Office. That's in regards to if a resident has something they don't feel that the assessed amount or value of their property is changed appropriately, they can have a discussion with them and even have a opportunity to appeal that. So Ms. Dumas did share that information with him, and that would be the information, I guess, if anyone else is watching in the public, if they had questions on that valuation, that'd be, we would direct them to the Chisago County Assessor's Office.
Okay, perfect. And Mr. Linwood or Ms. Dumas, would we be able to follow up with Mr. Rabel in a week or two just to see if he was able to get a hold of somebody at the assessor's office?
Absolutely can.
Certainly.
All right. Perfect, I appreciate that. All right, and there are no other questions regarding for the public hearing. So with that, I do need a motion to go out of the public hearing. So I will need a first and a second.
Member Zerwas, so moved.
Member Zeros makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger is that second. Roll call, please. Member Schilling,
Aye.
Member Yeager,
Aye.
Member Zeros,
Aye.
Member Luger,
Aye.
and Mayor Iverson is an aye. So we will now go into resolution number 20-12-111, the 2020 tax levy payable in 2021. And we do have a presentation tonight.
Mayor Iverson, we do have representatives from AEM, our finance director, Jesse Sturts, and then we have also Victoria Holthos here, who has presented for council in the past in regards to our annual budget. So with that, we can certainly let them discuss our 2021 budget, and I believe they do have a short presentation or discussion points for the council.
Wonderful, thank you. Administrator Linwood, would it be okay if I share my screen as I walk through the PDF of the budget documents?
Please do so.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am happy to be with you tonight. Sorry, let me just, okay, here we go. I'm happy to be with you here tonight. I did have the pleasure of meeting some of you last year as we did the final budget presentation for taxes paid 2020. So I'm just going to walk through at a high level the budget document, and I do have the council packet pulled up so you can be familiar with which page I'm on, but I'm starting on page 10 of the packet, which is the beginning of our memo. So overall, the city's property tax levy will increase about $212,000 for taxes payable 2021, which is about a 5% increase. What we have seen, though, is that we had also a reciprocal increase in the property tax capacity of the city. And so even with that property tax levy increasing by $212,000, we'll actually see a small decrease in the property tax rate. So how that change, or what that change is comprised of, is there's about a $107,000 increase in the general fund levy, about $210,000 worth of increases in debt levies, and then a $105,000 increase in the capital levies. With regard to that 2021 budget, there's a couple of key staffing changes that are incorporated. So there's that new full-time maintenance employee that's budgeted into water, sewer, and the surface water funds. There's the promotion of a maintenance employee to a lead utility operator. And then the crime analyst position will be promoted to full-time starting in July of 2021. Beyond that, other more significant changes with regard to the 2021 budget all relate to just different allocations of the property liability insurance to get those more true to the allocations of the property insured. So then just flipping over to page 11, at the top of that page is just another way of looking at that overall property tax levy. Again, just reaffirming a 5.02% increase in that property tax levy. But again, we saw about a 5.6% increase in that tax capacity, but had the effect of actually decreasing that property tax rate just slightly. As I kind of moved on that page, this chart just gives a nice illustration of what that information can mean in terms of increases to a couple of different property values. So for example, if there's a residential property that's valued at $300,000, that particular property owner, absent any changes that might be happening with their property value, could see about an $8 decrease in their property taxes for 2021. In terms of the levy overall, we know that that general levy takes up the lion's share of the overall spread. But what we've been seeing historically, or at least over the last several years, is quite a decrease in that property tax rate overall. You can see back in 2016, it was as high as 57%, where now for taxes paid 2021, we're looking at about a 43% property tax rate. I really like page 13 of the packet. So what this does is it steps out 3 different scenarios. It asks if we were focusing on keeping the property tax levy flat versus a flat tax rate, or what we're actually proposing, and it kind of steps you through those scenarios. So in the top one, if our focus was on keeping that property tax levy flat or the same, we'd go forth with that same $4.2 million levy that we had in 2021. And because that tax rate increased, that would actually produce about a 2.34% decrease in the city's tax rate. Fast forward then to a scenario where we would focus on keeping that tax rate constant. So if our goal was to keep that tax rate at exactly 43.58%, what that would look like is about a $240,000 increase in the levy, where when we're really looking for taxes paid 2021 to do about a $212,000 levy. So that's that last scenario on that page. That's what we're recommending to the City Council to approve this evening. As we look at just the overall general fund budget, obviously that's a very service-oriented fund, unlike water and sewer where they have charges for services coming in and it's more of a demand and consumption-based driver of revenues. Property taxes is the primary funding source for that general fund. So you can kind of see how those revenues spread within the general fund, with property taxes at about $3.3 million. Other changes that we saw in the revenue budget overall, we did budget for a slight decrease in the anticipated cable franchise fees. And then with regard to licenses and permits, we did budget a slight decrease there as well, just based on anticipated building activity in 2021. And on the expenditure side of things, our major changes there with the city clerk's office, we had a decrease due to changes in the property liability allocation SIFT that I talked about earlier. You can see my comment, a couple points down is that the police department actually took on a little bit larger share of that allocation. So again, trying to spread those costs where the insured property from a liability standpoint is, or where the employment or the personnel costs are from a work comp standpoint. The elections budget decreased due to no election anticipated in 2021. Building inspection had a decrease on account of changing of some employee benefits in that fund. And then the Parks Department saw some changes with regard to that property liability allocation again, and then the Tree USA program as well. Otherwise, the balance of the document that we've prepared for you tonight includes all of the budget details that the council has workshopped over the last couple of months on. So I'd be happy to just open it up for any questions that you'd have for myself or Jesse. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to remind council that we have been working on this for 6 months. We are not making any changes to this budget. We cannot make changes at this point in time. I would like to go directly to the vote if, unless there are any very specific questions that have not been asked yet. So am I seeing anybody that I can see on camera that would have any questions? Okay. So with that, I need a motion to approve resolution number 20-12-111, the 2020 tax levy payable in 2021. Do I have a motion? First motion.
So moved, Member Zerwas.
Member Zerwas makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Schilling will second.
Member Schilling makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Yeager?
Nay.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Luker?
Aye.
Member Zeros?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. We'll move on to resolution number 20-12-112, the 2021 expenditure budget. We need a motion to approve.
So moved, Member Zerwas.
Member Zeros makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Schilling will second.
Member Schilling makes the second. Roll call, please. Member Zeros?
Aye.
Member Yeager?
Nay.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Luker?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. That does pass. We're going to move on to the consent agenda, number 3, 4, and 5 on our agenda. Does any council member wish to pull any of the items for further discussion? No, we'll move on then to acknowledgement of reports from officers, boards, commissions, and department heads. Does anyone wish to pull reports number 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10? No. Oh, you know what? We do have to prove the consent agenda though, don't we? I think I missed that one. Anybody else catch that? Shake your head yes if I did miss that. Yeah, okay. All right, trying to be perfect. All right, let's go back. So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda 3, 4, and 5. Do we have a motion to approve? I'll make the first, so we need a second.
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes that second, and roll call, please. Member Zeros?
Aye.
Member Yeager?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Luger?
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It just goes to show you after 4 years, it's still easy to make a few mistakes. So, all right. So the reports, we already did that. Nobody wishes to pull anything. Communications, which is 11, 12, 13, and 14. Do I see anybody want something pulled from there? No. All right, we're gonna go on to new business then. Number 15, to consider resolution 20-12-115, a resolution approving conditional use permit C-20-004 for a planned unit development of a residential subdivision, Summerfields, applicant Moxness Development Group, Jesse Moxness, location PID number 21.10582.05 and 21.10582.10. Mr. Wack, are you starting us out? Is Mr. Wack on here for us?
Mr. Weck is not with us tonight, Mayor, so I believe that we'll have a combination of Mr. Zweber tonight is with us from WSB, Mark Erickson, and myself, but I think Mr. Zweber, could you lead us off?
Yes, I will start by sharing a PowerPoint presentation, but Mayor and City Council, thank you for having me. So there are 2 motions in front of you, but we will review it as it's all part of one development. Summerfields is asking for a conditional use permit and a final plat. Just to give you a general overview of the location and the zoning for this area, I'm just going to ask, is everybody seeing a full screen of the project location that's coming across? Okay, thank you. On the left in red is the area of the property. You see that there is a portion, the majority of it, on the west side of Kettle River Boulevard, and there is a portion on the east side of Kettle River Boulevard. You'll see kind of in the southeast corner, there is a lake, technically, by the city ordinance, the slough, and the conditional use permit is to actually address the densities around the lake itself. On the right, you can see the comprehensive plan and zoning for this area. This map actually needs to be updated in that earlier this year, this property was rezoned to the R4 zoning district. So to move on a little bit to the previous approvals, this is actually the 4th time that the City Council would have seen this property. The comprehensive plan designation is low density suburban and mixed use. The property on the east side of Kettle River Boulevard is that mixed use. The council reviewed the sketch plan back in January of this year. Staff and the other regulatory agencies in the area approved the wetland delineation also in January of earlier this year. This property and development is large enough that it actually required an EAW, environmental assessment worksheet. That was reviewed in the summer, and in September received a notice of negative declaration of EIS. So it did not need further review. In October of this year, the Planning Commission recommended approval, and the City Council approved the preliminary plat of the entire development, including rezoning this property from R1 to R4. And then just last week, the Planning Commission held a public hearing for the conditional use permit, planned unit development, and final plat, which I'll go into more detail here in the next couple of slides. So when we have these two requests, it's actually kind of two different geographies that we're talking about. The first request is a conditional use permit for the Shoreland district, which would approve a planned unit development for the density. That would apply to the entire preliminary plat area here shown on the map. The final plat is only for 19 lots, which we'll go into in a second. So this Shoreland ordinance requires larger lots unless there is a planned unit development approved. That is the request tonight. There is a series of 3 tiers that need to be evaluated, and the densities within those tiers. The table to the left shows that doing that calculation, each tier has a maximum density based on its total area, and the proposed units that they have in this preliminary plat are below that maximum allowed. So just to take one moment to step back, the rezoning that was done in October changed this area to R4 and assigned all the standards such as lot area, lot width, etc. But the Shoreland ordinance had a different standard for lot widths and area. This PUD addresses that change, but shows that the tiers that are shown on the screen do not exceed what the city code would allow. And then regarding the final plat, that is only addressing the first 19 lots, which would be adjacent or directly west of Kettle River Boulevard and on what's going to be called Euclid Avenue. So again, the resolution approving the conditional use permit is the entirety of the development. The final plat is only for these first 19 lots. During the public hearing, there was a number of topics discussed, including drainage, traffic, lighting, and density. If you have questions or want more detail on that, City Engineer Erickson can certainly help with some of those individual discussions. But as a result, the Planning Commission recommended approval of both the conditional use permit and the final plat. There are the resolutions in your packet. They are 2 separate resolutions, so we need 2 separate votes. But the first resolution is for the conditional use permit approving the planned unit development within the Shoreland district. And the second resolution is the final plat for Summerfield's first edition. I would point out that the Planning Commission added a condition about street lighting to that final plat resolution that wasn't in the staff report going to the Planning Commission, but the resolution in front of you tonight does have that as condition 11. With that, I would take any questions that the City Council may have.
All right, so I just would like to thank you, Mr. Zweber, for the time. We've gone through this quite a bit, and I'd like to thank the residents as well for all of the questions and the time that WSB has taken to answer those questions. And I think the residents were happy with the answers that they received. So I do appreciate that. With that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I will start with Member Zerwas. Do you have any questions for?
I have no further questions.
All right, and Member Yeager?
Okay, since the last time we discussed this, I've been hearing from residents that they're still concerned about the increased traffic on Kettle River and at the intersections of East Viking and Kettle River. Has there been any more discussion on additional changes to the traffic recommendations to alleviate these continuing concerns?
Madam Mayor, if I may address the question. We
Sure,
have
Mr. Erickson.
we have looked at this. We've commented on the questions that are there. We're confident in our responses. I think there is additional work to be had and planning to be considered regarding the intersection at East Viking and Kettle River. And so staff has not engaged the county or MnDOT further at this stage. We do have had conversations regarding that, and we'll plan to do that in the very near term. I'm not certain of any immediate improvements to those intersections at this point. There's going to be likely quite a few discussions related to that, as well as funding discussions related to that. Right now, the study that was identified does, and I referenced previously the study that was conducted there as part of the Greenwood development, did show that the no build of that development in particular, along with the background growth from other adjacent developments and growth on the existing roadways in 2031 still functioned at a level of service D, which falls in the non-congested area. It certainly is busier than we would like, and I think there are definite improvements that can be made and likely should be made here in the coming years. And staff will continue to work with the county and MnDOT to determine when and how we can get that on their capital improvements plans moving forward.
And then, are these lot sizes the same that was presented on October 20th? Because I know we talked a lot about, and the residents were concerned about lot sizes, bigger lots like closer to Sunrise West.
Correct. There have not been changes to the lot sizes from what was identified in the preliminary plat.
Okay. And I noticed in the report that there had been no landscaping plan provided as yet. So in that case, would it be possible to provide additional screening on Kettle River more than the small trees proposed, kind of like bigger trees or denser large shrubs or what?
Council member, that is something the Planning Commission, or excuse me, City Council could discuss and add as a condition of the resolution, but as the resolution is prepared, they would need to meet the landscape provisions within the city code.
Even though the plan hasn't been provided yet?
Correct. Any plans coming forward, whether they be with building permit or further construction, the city code still applies, and all those plans will need to meet the city code, or they would need to come back to the Planning Commission and City Council and either ask for a variance or an amendment to the previous approvals. But any plans coming forward will need to meet the city code.
Right. What does the city code call for a buffer in this case? Just the small trees?
I would need to double check, but I believe so.
Okay. I mean, I would prefer to see bigger trees or denser, but that's my preference.
All right, Member Yeager, was that all your questions?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Member Schilling?
I actually have no more questions, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Member Lugar?
I have no questions either.
Thank you. I just have one question, Mr. Erickson. Member Yeager had brought up the lot sizes for Sunrise West. I think we've had some conversation about that, and Sunrise West included some of the ponds and some of the, I'm going to call them drainage ditches. That's probably not the right word, but included that in their lots. where the Moxness development has decided not to do that. That's why the lots are maybe a little bit smaller compared to Sunrise West, but it isn't really the fact that the development is smaller. Is that correct? Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah, I think there certainly is a differentiation in how the platting process had taken place. Within the development to the north, the lots include wetlands, they include ponds, things of that nature. Within this development, those are included in outlots, and so the lot lines don't extend into those features, and so thus they're a little bit smaller. But with regards to the overall open space, if you will, you can see maybe there in the figure, you can see the lots don't include or extend into the ponding areas or the wetland areas, where the development to the north, they do. And so there's a differentiation there. I did not go, I don't recall the exercise Mr. Weck had gone through, but my recollection was that the density, overall density, the land area divided by the number of lots, was very comparable. However, these lots don't include the wetland area. So you're correct in your statement.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that being all the questions that we have, I do need a motion to approve Resolution 20-12-115, a resolution approving conditional use permit C-20-004. And then we'll let Mr. Linwood go ahead and fill everything else into that, all the rest of the words. So with that, do we have a motion to approve?
Member Schilling, so moved.
Member Schilling makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes the second. Roll call, please. Member Zerwas.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye. It does pass. We'll move on to number 16. I don't know if we'll need discussion on this. Resolution 20-12-116, a resolution approving final plat D-20-006, Summerfield's first edition application, Moxness Development Group, Jesse Moxness, location PID number 21-10582.105 and 21-10582.10. Mr. Zweber, are you going to do this one as well? But I'm not sure, seeing that we just had that conversation, if we need further conversation.
We don't, I'm not, I did my presentation regarding both topics, but you know, it is applicable to review this independently and discuss whether the conditions are accurate. Should more landscaping be requested, this would be the proper resolution to do that in.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll start with Member Yeager. Then you did have some concerns about the trees.
Yeah,
Well,
I would like to see bigger
your
trees.
suggestion.
I would like to see bigger trees or something more dense.
Okay, anything else with that?
No, that's it.
All right, Member Schilling, your thoughts or questions?
I just had one question because I don't have my packet up in front of me right now. I'm on full screen, but you did mention that they added a lighting requirement. I'm assuming that's street lighting to that 19 lots there.
Correct.
Okay.
It's at the, let me go back. It's street light at where 156th, I believe, and Kettle River Boulevard would be located. Correct. That is the additional condition.
Okay. And that was, I know, one of the concerns. So, okay, thank you. That was all I had.
And I do believe, Member Schilling, that during the Planning Commission, and Mr. Erickson, you can help me with this as well, that lighting was in there because there were some residents who don't want lighting. Mr. Weck had said that, I can't remember the name of the word that we call it, but most of Wyoming doesn't have street lighting. But there were residents as well that wanted it. So we were going to kind of wait on that lighting, and that's why that's in there. Is that correct?
I guess my recollection was, yes, that we were going to limit the lighting. The developer is choosing not to install lights throughout the development itself. However, at the intersections of Kettle River Boulevard, there were some questions related to safety and visibility at those intersections. And there was lighting proposed or recommended to be placed at the intersection of Kettle River, where when such time that the development on the east side of Kettle River at 258th Street begins, that lighting be included at that intersection, as well as the intersection at their southerly entrance point at Kettle River as well. Those were the only two locations that we identified for lighting.
Okay, and that's what I was kind of remembering. There was a reason why they put that in there, because it wasn't, nobody was really quite sure, so they wanted to make sure lighting was in there. So, all right, Member Luger.
I have no questions.
And Member Zerwas?
I have no questions.
All right, and I have no further questions either. Did any of the members want to add to Member Yeager's screening? Was there anybody who would like to do that as well? And then we'd have to make a motion into that. I can't see everybody, so shake your head if I can.
Oh.
No, it looks like nobody does. Okay. All right, so we will need to make a motion to approve resolution 20-12-113 with the way that it is presented. A resolution, oh, hold on, sorry. Let's go to the right one here. Resolution 20-12-116, a resolution approving final plat D20-06, Summerfield's first edition, application Moxness Development Group. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved, Member Zerwas.
Member Zerwas makes the first. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes that second. Roll call, please. Member Yeager?
Aye.
Member Schilling?
Aye.
Member Luger?
Aye.
And Member Zerwas?
Aye.
Mayor Iverson is an aye, so that does pass. Number 17 on our agenda, to consider authorizing the closing of City Hall on Thursday, December 24th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. for the Christmas Eve holiday. Mr. Linwood, will you be taking this?
Yes, Mayor Iverson, members of the council, the staff is requesting tonight to City Council that you would allow us to close the city offices for the entirety of the day on December 24th, Christmas Eve. Currently, city offices are open from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. If council were to approve the request from staff to close the office during that period, any staff member that elected to take that time off, they would be subject to using their vacation time or comp time if that was their selection to utilize there. Usually that's a very low traffic day, and we thought it might be a nice idea for to give the staff the day off for the entirety of the day off if they elect to use that vacation time.
Mr. Linwood, I think we've done this in the past, haven't we, the last several years?
I think, I'm not sure if it worked where it fell, the days fell, I think, last year, but we've done it at least multiple times before, yes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, questions from council members Zerwas?
I'm in favor of letting them have the day off.
Okay, thank you. Member Yeager?
Works for me.
All right, thank you. Member Schilling?
Definitely works for me with this year.
Thank you. Member Luger?
Absolutely.
All right, so we will need a motion to approve closing City Hall. Let me ask this question before I do that. Mr. Linwood, are you going to put that on Facebook, Nextdoor, all of our social media?
We'll update that, and we'll even put signage on. The facility is still open right now, so we'll get a sign on the front of the door of the facility too, to let people know. That way we don't have people knocking at the door, so certainly.
Awesome, great. So we need a motion to approve the closing of City Hall on Thursday, December 24th for the whole day instead of just working a half a day. So I will make the first motion on that. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Zero, second.
All right, so we have Member Luger as the second. With that, thank you, Member Zerwas. All right, so roll call, please. Member Zerwas.
Aye.
Member Yeager.
Aye.
Member Schilling.
Aye.
Member Luger.
Aye.
And Mayor Iverson is an aye, so that does pass. We will do council reports. We'll start with Member Zerwas.
No report.
Member Schilling.
I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you all for watching, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Member Yeager.
Oh, no report. Thank you all for watching. And if any of you live by me, come see my Christmas lights. I put a few up.
All right, Member Luker.
I have no report. Thanks for watching.
All right, and my report is I attended the Planning Commission meeting this last week, and it's been kind of quiet, that's for sure. All right, so with that, I'm actually hoping that we can hear from Chief Hoppy on a couple things that the fire and police department have going on.
All right, thanks, Mayor. This weekend is going to be December 5th, I think, is the tree lighting. But prior to that, we have Santa Claus on the fire truck. So the fire truck with the ladder and Santa hanging off the front of it will leave the fire hall about 8 a.m. and should hit most of our neighborhoods by noon. And then also to finish up our No Hunger November, we had a challenge with City Hall to see who could to raise the most food donations, whatnot. So we are going to give it a final finale at Bruce's Foods Saturday between 9 and 6. We're going to park one of our squad trucks out there with a big banner on it that says "Stuff the Squad," and Bruce is going to let us put it in front of their grocery store, and we're hoping to fill up the back of that squad car, the pickup truck, on Saturday with food donations, gift donations that will all be donated to the food shelf and the shelters locally. So we're hoping that every party participates, and we put a final drive not only to our No Hunger November, but we launch off the holiday season with kids and families waving to Santa, and maybe a little different event this year with the tree lighting, but certainly look for something.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on that because actually what's kind of cool is that whole Saturday will be so busy. So we have the Santa coming, and I do know that they have the toy drive going with that as well. So residents can definitely give toys to the toy drive, and the fire department will pick those up as they're driving by. For all of us who have Facebook pages, if we want to promote that, I think that would be amazing. So that's in the morning, and then to the food drive as well on that Saturday. And then at 5:30, we do our virtual tree lighting, and we have our video as well. So we really have a great busy day this coming Saturday, and a lot of really positive things going on with our city around that. So I'm very excited about it and looking forward to seeing Santa on the fire truck again. That's always a lot of fun. So, all right. And then Mr. Erickson, just a quick, are we all done over on Kettle River?
We are for the most part complete, I should say. There are some punch list items and restoration that we want to see green up in the spring. And so we do have some items that will be wrapped up in the spring, but we are substantially complete. I'll give a brief update. We are looking to send out a newsletter to property owners regarding the 2021 improvements. It's a little bit different type of year than we've had in the past with regard to meetings, right? And so typically we have a neighborhood meeting where we meet in person. We're going to send out a mailer with a lot more detailed information that we typically present at those neighborhood meetings. We'll also schedule a neighborhood meeting that we can do virtually and make sure that property owners are aware of the project, aware of the process, and can inform us of things that they feel should be included in that feasibility study. So we have made arrangements for soil borings, televising of the sanitary sewer. Public Works is inventorying their existing infrastructure, and we have survey crews that had started out there this week. So we are making progress on that, and more to come here in the near future.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Lunan, you were quiet today. Do you have any updates for us? You don't get off so easy.
No major updates on our end. You know, as I always say, if the attorney doesn't have to talk, it's generally going to be a pretty good meeting.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And one last question, Chief Hoppy. Do you want people to donate actually food, or would it be better to donate, if they can, cash to purchase more food? Is there kind of does it matter which way? Same with the toy drive.
It doesn't matter. So we have been taking some cash donations, and you know, those will be turned over to the food shelf as well. I think Mr. Erickson kind of schooled us on that today, that they can actually purchase more food if given cash because they buy it at a greater discount. But so you can drop that off either at City Hall or at the police department if there's cash. The truck we're hoping to fill up with, it could be toys, it could be food, whatever it is. And then we'll make sure they get to the appropriate places. The toys and stuff will go with the fire department as public safety to their toy drive. And then the food will be combined with what City Hall has also gathered. And we're going to make, a very substantial food donation to our local food shelf. So we're excited to be able to do that next week as well. So we challenge the community to fill up the back of that police truck, stuff that squad.
Awesome. And I'm going to challenge the council members and everybody on this Zoom meeting to help out as well. So if I'm seeing your face, I'm hoping I'm gonna see that challenge taken up on Saturday. So, all right. With that, we need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All right. We have a motion to adjourn by Member Zerwas. Do we have a second?
Member Luger will second.
Member Luger makes that second, and by shaking of your heads, yes, we want to adjourn by saying aye.
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 Hey.
I'm seeing everybody shaking their head. That's us. So we are adjourned. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Take care.
Thank you.